Hi. Oh, it's a strange color in my office today. Let's see. Okay, that's better. Hello, hello. 7 o'clock. That means it's Career Catalyst Live. Gonna put on my lotion because even though you all can't see my hands, they're a little ashy. All right. So today, it's 7 o'clock. Career Catalyst Live, and so I want to go ahead and get into it. Um, because today we're talking about something I normally don't do kind of current event or what's trending on social media, but I saw something um, within the last couple of days that I realized I needed to use, right? I needed to talk about. Um, and so it's this video of a woman. She's talking to, oh, let me go back. Hello. Angela M. Zachary, owner of Career Catalyst Live. Um, and the reason I do these lives is to help job seekers to understand those secret systems that drive their careers. Um, I try to put the power back in your hands because if you've ever been in a job where you felt disenfranchised, where you felt like things were happening without your knowledge, that's because that it's true. That is what's happening. Things are happening without your knowledge, and because you don't know them, you don't get to take advantage of them, and you become kind of a victim to this system that already exists in um, at companies all over the world. It's not just the ones I work in. It's not just the ones you work in. It's every company all over the world has these systems. And if you do not know how to use them, you are a victim to those systems. And so I try to put the power back in your hands. And that's why I come up every Monday at 7 for Career Catalyst Live to help you all out with that. So the post, the post was a woman, I believe it was a performing arts student, and she was she had done an audition or performance or whatever, and she was explaining that she kind of pulled back on what she was doing because she didn't want it to look like she was trying to show everybody up or trying to um, come out really big and steal the show, even though she could have, because the way she really wanted to perform would have been bigger and louder and kind of like bragging, right? And I think a lot of us say stuff like that because we think, oh yeah, people will want to hear us be humble, right? Humility is better than being loud and bragging, really. And in some cases, yeah, humility is good, right? But like in performance, job seeking the like. It's not really the best place to be humble. So anyway, going forward with the story from the post, the judge or one of the instructors explained to the young woman, you don't need to try to come in here and be kind. Bring everything you have. Bring the biggest, loudest version of yourself. And if the person on the other end of the table wants less, they'll let you know. But this is not the place to be humble. So she told the young lady, be great and then be kind. And I listened to that video. I watched that video probably 12 times, right? Before I heard more of that message, right? It's obviously a message for anybody who's coming out into the world and trying to show who they are. But it's a great message also for job seekers because, like I said, in your job search, that's not the place to be humble. That's the place to be as loud as you can about who you are and what you bring to the table. Um, and so I want you all to just think about that, be great and then be kind. We're going to talk from that lens, right? So this is about bragging for job seekers. Now, there's a whole lot of advice I could give on how to brag. Um, on LinkedIn, on your resumes, in your applications for sure. Because, like I said last week, that is so many characters worth of free space that you don't get to use anywhere else. And it goes right to the hiring manager, right to the recruiter. So, great place to brag. But there's one piece of advice that is very simple for how to brag that relates to this be great, then be kind. It's very simple. The thing that you need to do in order to brag and not feel like you're bragging is to tell the truth. And that sounds so simple, like just tell the truth, right? And when I say that, it's because the truth of the matter is a lot of you all are more exceptional than you realize you are. A lot of you have more to brag about than you think you do. And the reason you say you don't want to brag is because you can't think of anything to brag about. Let's just be honest. Like if we're really being honest with ourselves, it's not because we want to look like a humble, gentle soul. It's because you can't think of anything to say that would impress a person in your job interviews, right? Because if we're thinking about what it means to brag in general, right? That means to overinflate. It can mean to diminish somebody else's achievements on behalf of your own. It can mean to try to make yourself look bigger than you are. But that's not what you're doing in a job interview. You're not making yourself look bigger than you are. You're presenting who you are to a captive audience, an audience that already is paying attention to you because they want to know who you are. And so if you are dialing back or holding back, they're not going to know who you are. They're not going to get that full picture of you. And the full picture of you is what they want. So being honest, being truthful, being clear about what your achievements and accomplishments have been, what your contributions have been, is the easiest way to brag in a job interview or in any career context without feeling like you are. Case in point, there was an employee who asked a question about performance because we were in a performance cycle, and that's when you get rated on how well you've done over the year, right, or however long the course of the cycle is. And that's a very stressful time because, again, a lot of people say I don't want to brag, but what they're really saying is I don't want to say something that makes myself look more special or more accomplished, and you don't agree with me. That's what they're saying. They're not saying they don't want to brag. And so this employee was asking, how do I talk about my achievements or write out my achievements without feeling like I'm bragging because I don't want to brag? And my response to this person was just what I said to you all. It is not bragging if you are telling the truth. If I say that I save the company $10,000 by doing X, Y, and Z, or by auditing our employee records, am I bragging or am I just telling the truth? Right? It's not bragging if it's true. And so in very professional language, I told that employee, tell the truth about your inputs and the outputs that came from it, and the outcomes that came from it. If in everything you say you are telling the truth and you are not bragging, you are giving your manager an honest account of your contributions and what you have added to their team or to their ability to reach goals, right? And so the same thing is true for an interview. It's sort of like those conversations that are about performance because the greatest indicator of future performance is past performance, right? And so you are telling your interviewer about your performance and how well you've done. And so the same rule applies. If you are telling them the truth about what you've contributed, you never need to worry about bragging, right? Because you're just being honest. Now, you don't need to add anything about, how your other coworkers didn't pull their weight, because again, like I said, we aren't talking about putting people down in order to lift ourselves up. We're talking about facts of our inputs and the outcomes that have come from it, our results, right? Excuse me. That's what we're talking about. And so from that lens, everything you say that is an honest representation of what you have done is bragging, but it's that humble brag, right? It's like, yes, I know I've done these things. I know these have been the results of my actions or my contributions, and what that is I think the area where a lot of people fail to reach because of that fear of being of not being believed, right? But the person on the other side of the table can't tell you what you did before because they weren't there, right? And as long as you're being honest, that means you can back it up. And so in that be great then be kind, the kind part to me is you have the receipts to back it up. You can back it up, right? You're not telling them this big outlandish story and they come to find out, oh, you said you were the manager, but you were really like an assistant or a trainee or something. That would be a lie, and that would be bragging about something that was not real, right? But be great, then be kind. That is for a job seeker anyway, is about telling the accurate account of what you've accomplished and then being able to back it up. You're able to discuss it at length. You're able to align your results with what they need, right? Because again, it's all in a broader context. And so if you can place what you are bragging about into their context, you're going to find that not only are you going to be more comfortable about it, because we're all more comfortable telling the truth, right? Is when you start lying that you get uncomfortable. But also they are going to be more willing to seek out more information, and they're going to trust you more because you didn't come in ex- ex- um, bloating the story, right? You told them what was true and then gave them the detail to back it up, right? And it's likely that you've been not doing this, right? Because, like I said, you might be afraid that what you're saying might not be believed. You might be afraid that maybe they'll ask your old manager, and your old manager will say, "Well, that's not really how I remember it." But the fact of the matter is, number one, most of the time that's not going to happen. Most employers are very wary of saying much of anything because of laws and lawsuits and all that stuff. So the majority of the time they're not going to say very much. They're going to tell them you worked there and how long and what your job was, maybe your final, maybe in some places what your final salary might have been. But the majority of the time they're not saying, she said on line 4 of her resume that she did this. Is that true? That's not happening. um, and if that is happening, it's probably because they know you, they both know you, and they really want some detail about it, which is another issue. Um, but if you are not giving that like truth, that brag, that I did this amazing thing, it is real, and here's how I can back it up, then yes, you are selling yourself short. Nobody wants the weak sauce version of you. Nobody. Like, ask around. Nobody wants the weak sauce version of whoever you are. So bring the full weight of your accomplishments, of your contribution, of your sauce to the situation, right? Because that's what it calls for, and you will not be as successful as you can be without that full sauce. Okay. um, so when you are tempted to fall back into old patterns, say you're in an interview and you're starting to get nervous, like you're feeling your face getting hot, your chest. When I'm getting nervous, my chest gets hot. I start to kind of forget what I'm going to say, right? Um, when you feel like you're falling back into old patterns, just pause. Maybe you hear a question, and maybe you've done something amazing. I've had some clients who have done amazing work to the point where if they said it out loud, it sounds outlandish, right? And so if you're feeling like, dialing down on the big accomplishments that you've had, pause and ask yourself, is this true? If the answer to that is yes, then proceed, right? If you are about to adjust the story to make it more palatable, don't. They need to know um, what you've done and how much you've accomplished. Nobody wants somebody who does the bare minimum, right? We always want somebody who has stories, has a pedigree, right? And so if you're pretending you don't have those things, you'll find, yes, you'll feel very kind in your interviews, right? You'll feel not even kind, very nice in your interviews. You'll feel like you haven't offended anyone, but you also haven't impressed anyone at the same time. Okay, so that's not the goal in an interview. Definitely not the goal. Your goal is to be as big as you can. And I don't mean big as an aggressive, I mean big as if compared to the other options that they have, you take up more of their brain space, basically. Yeah. Because that's important. You want to be their number one. That's the only way to get the job, really, to be their number one. Okay, so go ahead and brag. I give you permission. I do it all the time, and it works beautifully. So, announcement. This is the final episode of Career Catalyst Live. Um, I will say at least for now, but I am shifting into a different segment of my customer base that will not be looking at these videos. And so I feel like even in your job search, right? If you find something needs to shift, you don't wait to see if it'll adjust. You don't wait to see if your bad resume will work. You don't wait to see if your interview style that has not worked so far will continue to work. You shift, right? And so there's a customer base that I am pursuing, and I want to work with people who care about their careers enough to act on this information, right? There are a lot of people who go throughout their careers just moving from the one thing to the next at the in the control of the system and the people who run the systems. And I don't want to work with those people. That is not who I want to help, because I want to use these systems to help you take advantage of them, and I want you to be able to do so throughout your career. And for folks where that is not the case, I love you, I wish you the best, but I am not the coach for you. I am continuing to work with folks who are really serious about this space, because most of us will be working the majority of our lives, right, in some capacity. And I'm working with people who are ready to change the way that they do work. And so this is the last episode of Career Catalyst Live. It might come back in a different form, but that remains to be seen. In the future, these videos will be coming off of Facebook simply because Facebook removes these videos, and I will have them available for online for you to see them elsewhere. But it's been real. I have enjoyed coming and telling y'all all the little secrets that I was taught never to tell. I remember when I started as an analyst, they said, do not tell anyone where you work. Do not tell anyone what you do, because it was all a secret, right? And so I've enjoyed coming out here and spilling the beans on something that really puts the power back in your hands. You have to pick it up though. If I put the power in your hand and you let it fall, that's on you, right? So I hope you all will take this information and use it to improve the way that you do work. This is not just about being a job seeker. This is about being an employee. This is about being promoted. This is about getting better opportunities as far as pay. This is about figuring out how the market affects you any given day. And if you can't see those patterns and those systems in the market, then it will be happening to you, not for you. And so feel free to go back and look through the videos. Like I said, they'll be coming off eventually. And I wish you all so much luck in your job searches. I'll still be around. I'll still be here answering questions. But yeah, Career Catalyst Live, my baby, is done for now. All right. So thank you all so much for joining me these last, I don't know, 4 months. I think 3 or 4 months. Yeah. It's been awesome. And like I said, make sure you all go out there and don't make your job search so hard, right? It's not that hard. If you follow these tools, if you follow these systems, I guarantee you it'll be far easier than if you try to go it alone. All right. All right. Take care, y'all.